The cold open, you're sitting in a dimly lit room, the weight of the world pressing down on you. The screen glows with a single line of text: "My friend slept with his married ex-wife, and I'm losing my mind." The words hang there, heavy with implication, and you know this isn't going to be easy. The promise: this is the story of Will, a man caught in a web of love, loyalty, and betrayal. It's the story of Katie, a woman who seems to play by her own rules. And it's the story of a group of friends who've watched this toxic dance unfold for years, powerless to stop it. This is a tale of moral ambiguity, where right and wrong blur into a gray haze. And by the end, you'll be left asking yourself, what would you do? The setup: Will and Katie were married for 11 years. A seemingly happy couple, deeply religious, with a shared love for their 6 children. But beneath the surface, things were far from perfect. Katie left diary entries for Will to find, filled with regrets about their marriage, wishes that she'd married someone else. She had affairs, multiple affairs, with different men. And each time, Will forgave her, believing it was his fault. They divorced. Katie remarried 6 months later, only to divorce again a year after that. She jumped into another relationship, this time with her current husband. And through it all, Will was there for her. Helping with the kids, running errands, being a shoulder to cry on. Their friends tried to warn him, but Will denied it all. He loved her, he said. He would never do something improper. The inciting incident: but then, last week, everything changed. Katie's husband was recovering from surgery, unable to perform in bed. Katie turned to Will, laying on the charm, flirting openly in front of her husband. She told Will that she was his biblical wife, that this wasn't an affair but his right as her first husband. And Will, caught up in the moment, gave in. They failed to use protection. And now, Katie's husband, who was cheated on in his last relationship, might find out. He's threatened to leave her and take everything if she cheats. And with a vasectomy, he'll know if she's pregnant. The attempts to resolve: Will's friends, including the narrator, have tried to warn him. They've sat him down, told him he's in an emotional affair. But Will denied it all. Until now. Now, he's freaking out, realizing what he's done, what she's done to him. But he's also torn. He loves her, he says. He needs to sacrifice himself for her. The midpoint revealed: but the narrator has reached the end of their rope. They've watched this toxic dance unfold for years, seen the effect it's had on the kids, on Will, on everyone involved. And now, they've told Will they can't be friends anymore. Will begged them not to, said he needed a friend right now. But the narrator isn't sure they can be that friend anymore. The second escalation: Katie says she'll tell her husband this week. But the narrator thinks she's going to wait, see if she's pregnant first. And if she is, what then? Will's life, Katie's life, their kids' lives, all hang in the balance. The climax: the tension is palpable. Will is caught between his love for Katie and the realization of what she's done to him. Katie is playing a dangerous game, one that could destroy everything. And the narrator is left wondering, where do they go from here? The aftermath is a mess. Will is a wreck, torn between his love for Katie and the guilt of what they've done. Katie is playing the waiting game, seeing if she's pregnant. And the kids, innocent bystanders in this toxic dance, are about to have their world torn apart again. The moral debate: this is where things get complicated. Is Will a victim, manipulated by a toxic woman? Or is he complicit, a willing participant in this affair? Is Katie a predator, playing games with people's lives? Or is she a woman desperate for love, making mistakes along the way? And what about the kids? What about the husbands, the other families involved? Where do they fit into this messy equation? The specific judgment CTA: so, what do you think? Is Will in the wrong for sleeping with his married ex-wife? Or is he a victim of her manipulation? Is Katie the villain here, or is she a woman making mistakes? And what about the kids? What about the husbands? Who is really at fault here? And more importantly, what would you do if you were in Will's shoes? Would you have said no? Or would you have given in, like Will did? The timeline: let's reconstruct the timeline of this toxic dance, step by step, to understand how we got here. It started 11 years ago when Will and Katie tied the knot. They were young, deeply religious, and full of hope. But beneath the surface, Katie was already questioning her choice. She left diary entries for Will to find, little notes of regret, wishes that she'd married someone else. Will, ever the forgiver, took these as his own failures. He loved her, so he ignored the red flags. Then came the affairs. Multiple affairs. With different men. Each time, Katie would cry, repent, and Will would take her back. Their friends watched in horror, but Will denied there was anything wrong. He loved her. He would never do something improper. Then, the divorce. Katie remarried 6 months later, a man who made her feel valued, who gave her the stability she craved. But a year later, she was divorced again. This time, she jumped into another relationship, this time with her current husband. A man who made her feel like a queen. A man who gave her the life she wanted. But through it all, Will was there. He helped with the kids, his kids, and hers. He ran errands, fixed things, listened to her cry. He was the shoulder she leaned on, the friend she called when things went wrong. Their friends tried to warn him, but Will insisted he was just being a good co-parent. Then, last year, things changed. Katie started complaining about her husband. Small things at first, he wasn't doing the dishes, he wasn't helping with the kids. But then it progressed. She wasn't satisfied in bed. She needed more. And Will, the ever-faithful friend, started spending more time at her house. He was there every day, listening, helping, being the man she needed. Then came the flirting. Openly, in front of her husband. Katie would joke about how she'd made the wrong choice, how she should have never divorced Will. She'd tease about a polyamorous relationship, about her husband dying so she could remarry Will. And Will, caught in the web of her words, believed her. He loved her. He would do anything for her. Their friends sat him down. They warned him. They told him he was in an emotional affair. But Will denied it. He loved her, he said. He would never do something improper. Then, last week, everything changed. Reconstructed dialogue. Let's listen in on their conversation that morning. Katie knocks on Will's door. She's wearing a short dress, her hair done, her lips painted red. She smiles at him, a knowing smile. Katie, hey, Will. Got a minute? Will, Katie, what's going on? You look different. Katie, different? No, I just feel different. Like I'm finally seeing things clearly. She steps closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. I made a mistake, Will. I should have never left you. Will, Katie, don't. We've been over this. You're happy now. You have a good life. Katie, but I'm not happy, Will. Not really. I miss you. I miss us. She reaches out, touches his arm. You're the only man who's ever really understood me. Will, Katie, stop. This isn't right. Katie, it is right. It's biblical. You're my first husband. You have rights to me. You have a right to be with me. Will, Katie, I can't. I won't. Katie, you will. Because you love me. And I love you. She steps even closer, her body pressing against his. You know you want this, Will. You've always wanted this. Will, I can't. Katie, yes, you can. And you will. She kisses him, a slow, deliberate kiss. And Will, caught in the moment, kisses her back. They fail to use protection. They're caught up in the moment, in the heat of the passion. And when it's over, they're both left staring at each other, realizing what they've done. Evidence details now. Let's look at the evidence. The diary entries, the affairs, the flirting, the emotional manipulation. All of it points to one conclusion: Katie is a master manipulator. She's played the victim, the wronged wife, the woman who just wants to be loved. She's used Will's love for her, his desire to be a good man, to get what she wants. And Will, caught in the web of her words, has let her. But there's more. There's the way she's treated her husbands. The way she's cheated on them, the way she's played them against each other. There's the way she's used her kids, her family, as pawns in her game. And there's Will. The man who's let himself be used, who's let himself be manipulated. The man who's loved Katie so much that he's lost sight of what's right. Family reaction now, let's talk about the family. The kids. The innocent bystanders in this toxic dance. Will and Katie have 6 kids together. 6 kids who've watched their parents' marriage fall apart, who've watched their mother remarry, divorce, remarry again. 6 kids who've seen their mother flirt with their father, who've seen their father be the shoulder she cries on. And now, they're about to watch it all happen again. They're about to watch their mother cheat on their stepfather, watch their father be torn apart by his own actions. They're about to have their world torn apart, again. And what about Katie's current husband? The man who's been cheated on before, who's threatened to leave if she cheats again. What about his feelings? His rights? His love for Katie? And what about Will's kids? The kids he shares with Katie. The kids who've watched their father be used, manipulated, torn apart by the woman he loves. The family reaction is one of heartbreak. Of anger. Of betrayal. Of a love that's been twisted, warped, into something unrecognizable. Counterargument from the other side now, let's hear from the other side. Let's hear from Katie's supporters, from Will's defenders. They'll say that Katie is a woman who's been hurt, who's been let down by the men in her life. They'll say that she's just looking for love, for happiness, for a man who'll treat her right. They'll say that Will is a good man, a loving man, a man who's just trying to do what's right. They'll say that he's been manipulated, used, by a woman who doesn't know any better. They'll say that love is complicated, that right and wrong aren't always clear. They'll say that Katie and Will are just 2 people who love each other, who've made mistakes, who are just trying to find their way. And they'll have a point. Love is complicated. Right and wrong aren't always clear. Katie and Will are just 2 people who love each other, who've made mistakes, who are just trying to find their way. But that doesn't excuse what they've done. That doesn't excuse the hurt they've caused, the pain they've inflicted. That doesn't excuse the betrayal, the manipulation, the toxic dance they've been leading for years. The aftermath now, let's talk about the aftermath. The fallout. The consequences. Katie is playing the waiting game. She's waiting to see if she's pregnant. If she is, what then? Will's life, Katie's life, their kids' lives, all hang in the balance. Will is a wreck. He's torn between his love for Katie and the guilt of what they've done. He's torn between his desire to be a good man and his desire to be with the woman he loves. Their friends are at a loss. They've watched this toxic dance unfold for years, seen the effect it's had on the kids, on Will, on everyone involved. And now, they're left wondering, where do they go from here? The moral debate: this is where things get complicated. Is Will a victim, manipulated by a toxic woman? Or is he complicit, a willing participant in this affair? Is Katie a predator, playing games with people's lives? Or is she a woman desperate for love, making mistakes along the way? And what about the kids? What about the husbands, the other families involved? Where do they fit into this messy equation? Final moral debate and specific judgment questions. So, what do you think? Is Will in the wrong for sleeping with his married ex-wife? Or is he a victim of her manipulation? Is Katie the villain here, or is she a woman making mistakes? And what about the kids? What about the husbands? Who is really at fault here? And more importantly, what would you do if you were in Will's shoes? Would you have said no? Or would you have given in, like Will did? This is a tale of moral ambiguity, where right and wrong blur into a gray haze. And by the end, you'll be left asking yourself, what would you do?